Megyn Kelly. Now, Levin, as you can imagine, has been hounding Megyn Kelly for months, not over what she herself has to say about anything, but because of her unwillingness to disavow Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, both of whom Levin absolutely despises because they are very critical of Israel. Now, since Turning Point USA's America Fest event, Mark Levin has been attacking another person as well, and that's Jack Posobiec. And I'm sorry, Levin also criticized Posobiec for taking a picture with Myron Gaines, an influencer.
This story isn't really about who's right or who's wrong. It's about how the media power works when public figures start demanding loyalty tests. What you are about to see is a dispute that escalates step by step, not because of what people said, but because of who they refuse to disavow. Watch how quickly the logic expands. Decide for yourself where it stops making sense.
Who he labeled as anti-Semitic. And apparently in the picture, you can see Gaines wearing what's described as an anti-Semitic shirt, making light of the Holocaust. So if that's what the shirt, in fact, is making light of, that's pretty gross. So I'm upset about that as well. But Mark Levin using that to attack like Megyn Kelly is a weird choice, which we'll get to in just a minute. On Monday, he wrote that a week ago, Posobiec was a little known bigot and Jew hater. Now he's a little known delusional bigot and Jew hater. Prayer doesn't seem to be working for him. In fact, he's so busy hyper posting. When does he have time to pray? And then he implied that Turning Point should ban Posobiec from future events. I love how this guy thinks he's like the dictator here. Like he gets to decide what every organization does or doesn't do. But he's calling for Posobiec to be banned from future events, writing decision time. And Megyn Kelly responded to that, saying Mark Levin, who is spiraling because he mocked Catholics praying the rosary and his hatred is evident for all to see, actually thinks he can besmirch Jack Posobiec out of Turning Point USA. Good use of the word besmirch. This is genuinely funny, as if TPUSA would ever bow to Christian loather Levin, dying laughing. I don't know, Megyn, they might, but I'm curious what you think, Cenk.
Yeah, so I love every piece of this because there's so many interesting plot developments here. All right, number one, so Myron Gaines' shirt, in my opinion, is out of bounds. The fact that it's out of bounds is just noted. He doesn't get canceled, nothing happens to him. I just am not in favor of that. In 80% of the charges of anti-Semitism, it's nonsense. It's just a way of defending Israel. They planted all these trope landmines, etc. But 20% of the time, are some people against Jews? Yeah, of course, right? And so Myron Gaines seems to be in that category. So now what Levin does from there on is what's, of course, standard Israel first procedure. Okay, we've got a guy who's said plenty of bad things, but in that particular case was wearing a bad shirt, okay? So, okay, but I don't agree with him at all. All right, so then he says, since Posobiec was standing next to him and smiling, Posobiec is canceled. No, there's no smear by proxy, smear by standing next to a guy. And he's like, but in the picture he was smiling. I don't know what he was thinking in the picture. What is this nonsense, right? Then he says, okay, then Posobiec brings out the rosary beads at TPUSA. That's of course to rub it in the face of Jews and saying you don't belong here. And that's why he's an anti-Semite. That doesn't mean that at all, okay? I don't like, it is another giant step because now he has to call Posobiec a quote unquote Jew hater. And this is Megyn, now we're at the third level. This is 6 degrees of Mark Levin, right?
This is the key moment in the story. Notice how the argument shifts here. It's no longer about a specific statement or an action. It's about proximity. The logic becomes, you didn't condemn someone I dislike, therefore you inherit their worst accusations. That's not a debate tactic, it's an expansion tactic. And once it starts, it doesn't neutrally stop.
So now we're at the third level, which is Megyn Kelly says she won't condemn Posobiec, who wouldn't condemn Myron Gaines. She's a Jew hater and she needs to be canceled, etc. Now this is
so
all
crazy.
It's totally
so
nuts.
Crazy. It's like high school drama, like this whole guilt by association. Like, can you imagine going around demanding that people condemn others that you don't like, and then calling them bigots and anti-Semites because they refuse to disavow the people you don't like. That's crazy. How about you judge someone based on their own character, what they say, what they do? But no, this is like a cult. It's genuinely a cult. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Yeah, well, that leads, of course, I totally agree. And that leads to two other things. So now, the reason why Mark Levin does this is because he's used to it. And in the past, Anna, as we know, to be fair to Mark Levin, this one trick pony was the greatest pony in cancel culture history. You call somebody an anti-Semite, they're done forever. Their career is ruined, nuked, gone, right? So he's like, wait, I don't get it. I already called you an anti-Semite. Why are you still here? Because normally what would happen is the rest of mainstream media would come in and go, that's it, we officially declare Megyn Kelly an anti-Semite. She's the worst person and anyone associated with her is the devil, etc. And she would be nuked. But mainstream media doesn't have that kind of power anymore. So Megyn Kelly stands here entirely unnuked, right? So Levin's like, I don't get it. I already canceled her. Hey, everybody else, snap to it. We're canceling her. She's now a slight 1% Israel critic. Everyone destroy her. But he doesn't get that he doesn't control everyone anymore. But he does control something very important related to TPUSA. I'll get to that in a second. But what were you going to say, Anna?
So I wanted to give you Mark Levin's response to Megyn Kelly, who said that, or called him out for mocking Christians or Catholics specifically after Jack Posobiec held the rosary. He decided to basically invoke an old scandal. And the scandal happened back in 2018, where NBC had fired Megyn Kelly after she questioned why it would be considered racist for a white person to paint their face black for a Halloween costume.
If you're interested in how political and media conflicts evolve, not emotionally, but structurally, that's what we track here. This channel focuses on how these fights unfold, not who you're supposed to side with. Thank you for watching.